Hey, industrial professionals, before we get into the show, I want you to be aware of a free ebook that we have out on Industrial Talk. It takes and expands upon the these are common, 5 elements that make companies successful. This is it. 1, they educate. 2, they collaborate. 3, they innovate. 4, they invest in the culture of the organization. And then 5, are able to, in an effective way, communicate to the masses of what they do in an effective way. Those are the 5 elements. That's what the book expands upon. Go out to Industrial Talk, download it, and while you're at it, get the free workbook too as well. Now on to the show.
Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk and for your continued support of this platform that celebrates you industry professionals all around the world. You're bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you collaborate, you're solving problems each and every day. That's why we celebrate you on Industrial Talk. You are the heroes in this platform. You are the heroes. We're broadcasting from DistribuTech. It is in Dallas, Texas, and we're sponsored by Siemens, Smart Infrastructure and Grid Software. Go out to Siemens.com. Find out more. Great people, great company, great solutions. Siemens.com. He's a legend. He's in a hot seat. He's a neighbor. I just got off his podcast. He's on our podcast. Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Scott. Good to be with you again. It was a shock when I get over there and I heard you first. I heard you and I thought, I know that voice.
Yeah, it is. And then you popped in. I was excited to see you. Absolutely amazing. You're looking great.
Thank you. You are too. I mean, I'm going to start being more dapper. You are dapper, my friend.
Got to elevate industry. I have made it my mission to go beyond the logo-driven, golf shirt. I want ties. Yeah.
Well, there's one lady here from a Korean company, and she's in Korean dress. I think that's what we ought to start doing. I want to wear a kilt. We've got some Scottish background, right? I was born in Edinburgh. Let's start wearing kilts.
I'm all there, man.
Yeah.
I'm behind you 100%. I'll pull out my kilt. If I knew that you were here, and I would have communicated and just said, "Hey, Alan, let's pull our kilts together. Let's come on."
Yeah. People would have thought we were crazy here in this in the what I would consider to be the back end of the DistribuTech 2025.
Yeah.
But we've had tremendous traffic. People walking by here, people here. So it's just been busy.
What's interesting, our location. Let's just put it this way: it's at the end of the. It doesn't get any further. Any further, you're walking into a wall.
That's right.
But you're absolutely correct, and it's been quite busy. It's been good.
Yeah, I also find that people are searching out smaller vendors to find out what people are doing. So I've seen that more. I've asked a couple of the smaller vendors, "Hey, how's it been?" And they said, not a lot of traffic, but the traffic we had was great traffic, and I think that speaks well to DistribuTech.
Do you find, and this I digress because we're going to be talking about the organization and why you're here and all that good stuff. The reality, do you find because technology and innovation and all of the buzzwords that exist here, are companies looking for those Sherpas, those individuals, those companies that can help along with that journey? It's happening whether we like it or not. Do you find that possible? Because I get concerned that I can't find trusted individuals. This whole renaissance that exists today in what we call DistribuTech, utilities, power generation, and so on, I'm going to miss out because I'm going to align myself with somebody that I thought I could trust, but I don't. Any issues there?
One of the things I find about the power industry is for the most part, they're good, trustworthy people. There's character in this industry. There are industries where there's not. And I think secondarily, if somebody were walking, if I were walking this event and I was looking to learn. I wanted to learn more, and it wasn't just sitting upstairs and listening to a talk by somebody, but I wanted to find out what companies were doing to innovate. Big companies, little companies. Siemens is one of the most innovative companies out there, right? Yeah. There's a saying that I've used most of my career, even before I was in the media part of this thing. No one ever got fired for buying from Siemens, right? Hey, boss, cool. I got a new thing and it didn't work. Well, who'd you buy from? It was Siemens. Well, okay, it must have been us. Hey, boss, I got a thing I bought and it didn't work. Who'd you buy from? Well, XYZ manufacturer, and they were 10% less than Siemens. He's gone.
Yeah,
right?
that is so true. That's interesting.
We have people like Siemens Energy, which has come together, GE Vernova come together, Hitachi Energy, the big three as we call them. They bought ABB, who bought Westinghouse. So you've got these big three. And you know what they're doing? They're looking for partners. They're looking for the innovative thing because we don't have it all. And if we can bring other people's technology in to solve problems, and I think that's the biggest change I've seen. And it's happened in the last 3 to 5 years, I'll say. It used to be a situation where people wanted to buy something, so you sold transactionally. Today, people are saying, here's the problem I've got. This is the utility industry, or AI data centers, or reindustrialization. So it's right in what you're talking about, in a completely new wave. And they're coming in and saying, here's the problem I've got. This is the outcome I need. Can you help me get to that outcome? So a lot of these smaller people who are transactional aren't even able to talk to them because they don't know. They're selling, they're not listening. And if you're willing to listen, and that's what we did here, is we had a lot of companies that are listening companies, and I said, so what are you hearing? And it's interesting. They've been hearing the same thing. We're a little bit different here than what normally you and I have done at the, because I've been in part of the SMRP, I'm a CMRP, I'm a CRL. It's a little bit different here, as you've seen in this industry. Interestingly enough, your background was this industry. So it's great to have you because you've been part of our grandfather's grid. And when you see all this change and you talk to these experts that you're talking to, you get a glimpse of the future. Scott, I wish you said something in our video cast. You said, I wish I were young. I wish I were 50.
Oh, yes.
If I were 50, knowing what I know now, I would do things completely differently because we're in a renaissance of especially, and it's not just America. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in the Middle East, the Northern Africa area. Different, but it's happening everywhere. We're in a renaissance of industrial, commercial, utility, power industry. It's happening all around us.
See, if you like traveling, this is the industry. This is exactly it, man. Just travel. You get to see the world, man, and do cool things and meet great people and just solve challenges, man. It's just an exciting time.
It is. It is. I had an opportunity to I get the opportunity to travel a lot more than I want to, and of course I have a rate limiter, and that is my wife, who says no, you'll say yes to everything. But we're beginning to look at some different international things that we've never really done before, because our company, APC Media, is an Atlanta-based company, but it's all the operations come out of Croatia. So we've got a kind of a European tilt to what we do, young Europeans, and you've seen some of the people here. I love working with them. So what we're trying to do is we started as a U.S. base. About 52% of our people come from the U.S. Professionals in the power industry. That's our readers, and we have about a third of them are engineers, about a third of them are leaders, manager level and up above, and then the other third of them are a mix of people, insurance people and things. So we've got a really 27,000 people so far who are getting our material, learning from it, because we have a video part of it. We have 4 magazines on transformer technology, 5 magazines on power system technology, and 2 magazines on women in power systems, which is a complete oxymoron because there's not enough of them.
I was just going to say, they're like 3.5?
We sponsored a conference here. Not a conference, a dinner Tuesday night. No, wait, were you here the first night? Tuesday night.
Yeah.
We sponsored it. It was by Women in Clean Tech, and it was at a hotel.
Wow.
And we were co-sponsors of it, and 50 technical engineers got together and talked about the problems that they were having and how did they get more women. We're going to profile them in our September issue of our April issue of Women in Power Systems, and then it lives forever because we put it online and we get access to it. That's a growing part of the community. Not that there's enough of them in industry, but what they're trying to do is say it's a great industry to come into.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is to say to men, you need to promote the women in your industry so that people say, hey, that woman's the director of global engineering. So we have one we did a video cast with. She's the director of global engineering for Cargill Bio-Industrial. I mean, she started with FR3, which is a fire retardant made by Cargill. She's now in charge of Bio-Industrials, which is product made out of plants that don't have any negative footprint, decarbonized completely. We need people to promote like that. We need to show that companies are willing to put women in significant positions of authority. We had she was GE Vernova's #1 go-to for technical, brilliant woman, triple degree. I think she's a PhD, but she understands the power industry and she works for GE Vernova.
Yeah.
And at a level where there's about 100 guys, engineers working for her, she's the only woman that I know of in that group, but that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, and if the demand that we see that we've talked about here at DistribuTech, the demand for individuals, people, the human component, you're gonna have to make up. It's gonna have to be filled by women too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can't. Tell us about that organization you mentioned.
So when I retired, I was the president of the Electric Power Reliability Alliance. That's where I met you and was passionate about it. And it was primarily aimed at industrial and commercial, and it was reliable. It wasn't just electrical. It was totally maintenance and reliability. That's why I'm a CMRP. That's why I'm a CRL. But I've never done the work. I've pretty much been an entrepreneur for the last 50 years of my career.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved it. I loved what I did, and I said, hey, I'm going to go out strong as EPRA. But we wanted to make EPRA a not-for-profit, which would allow us to do a lot of research and do some things and get grants. And people are more willing to support what you do. For a number of reasons, at my retirement, it didn't happen. I feel very bad about that because I think part of it was, Alan retired and it went away. I was at a conference speaking about a year ago and just talking about electric power reliability, talking about safety and reliability of the electric system. And at lunch, after my keynote and the other people talked, I stayed for the whole conference, and I just wanted to learn, talk to people. So at lunch, I'm seeing some guys saying, hey, let's have lunch. And we're all sitting at the same table. They paid for lunch. We're all sitting at the same table. And one of the guys says, we're 6 of the original founders of EPRA. And let's get the band back together. And I said, okay, well, what does that mean? Let's get the band back, because I'm retired. Okay, I'm doing this media thing that's blowing up and taking all of my time. And they said, just what do you think it means? And I said, if I can get some of you to be co-chairs, we don't have a staff person, we're not going to make it about money. Let's see if the original board would come back together, and let's begin focusing on electrical and mechanical, but there's a lot of people doing mechanical safety and reliability, CMRP, SMRP, Terry Hanlon and his group.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people doing electrical safety and reliability, and the electrical industry is going through dramatic change.
Oh.
Do you know what the grid edge is? Everybody says the grid edge is, it's that industrial plant that's getting dirty power and they have robotics in their plant. It's that data center, it's the hospital. All of the feed is the edge. The final edge of the grid is where the power goes. It's Mrs. Jones's house. The utility industry is doing a good job of electrical safety and reliability. You know who's not? Industrial and commercial are not. They don't have enough staff, and the ones that they have are gone. I mean, people are retiring, especially in that space. So we looked at it and we said, that's what we were passionate about at the Electric Power Reliability Alliance. Let's do safety and reliability, because it's two sides of the same coin. We have data that proves that if you're a reliable plant by your OEE or your UA or whatever you want to look at for a term of reliability, how much you keep your assets working, how much you keep your operational equipment working, you will be a safer plant. You will have less OSHA recordables, you will have less injuries, less even zero deaths. If you want to be a safe company, be a reliable company. And so the idea of mixing safety and reliability, as you can see, I'm passionate about it.
No.
All the 6 people at the table were as passionate, if not more. We called the other boys together, and all but one of them, who's also retired, who just said, you know, I don't have the energy for this, but I'll support you guys all. But we all came together and formed the Safety and Reliability Association, a 501c6 organization. And what we're doing is educating the marketplace, informing the marketplace, inspiring the marketplace, and we want to take practical knowledge that they can go out and do not best practices. We want to do better practices. There's a better way to do that. Learning from each other. Just our board alone, when you look at the companies, it's Domtar Paper, Larry Bryant, who is responsible for global reliability for Domtar. It is the gentleman that's responsible, Bill Rodeman, he's responsible for reliability of Land O'Lakes. I thought they did butter. They make more cheese than anybody in the world.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're
but
monsters.
these incredible companies, Flint Hills Resources.
Yeah.
So they're all in the industrial space. We have CBRE and NTT, 2 of the biggest players in the data center world. That's our board who's come together as volunteers. We have 4 chair people, Martin Robinson from Iris, me, Mike Doolin from CBRE, and Larry Bryant he's just retired from Domtar. They're my co-chairs, and our first working group is to create a gap analysis for putting an EMP, an electrical maintenance program. Now it is required by NFPA 70E. It used to be recommended. It's now required. And if somebody gets hurt, OSHA can fine them. You can also have criminal penalties if somebody gets hurt. Do you know how many people, we've done a quick estimate, how many companies in our space have a good EMP in place? So I say good because we can tell what's bad. Less than 10%.
I was going to say it's not much.
It's negligible.
Not, yeah.
So people are looking for the answers. So we're saying wherever you start, this is the first step. Because if you're going to try to put a full bore EMP in, you're going to have to hire consultants to do it. But if you just want to get here, create an electrical maintenance program. If you maintain the equipment correctly, you can have a more reliable facility from a power standpoint, and you will have a safer facility.
How are you deploying, in the world of reliability and asset management?
Right.
There's this condition-based monitoring that's going berserk, right? I'm tracking the health of this asset through data. And then I'm using some sort of analytics to give me some sort of score, and then it deploys, and then I deploy whatever tactics I need to make sure that asset stays up and running, blah, blah, blah. How do you approach an electrical asset that tends to just sort of sit there?
That's let's take one asset. Let's take one of them, the breakers.
Yeah.
Most breakers and most people have been doing time-based testing and maintenance on a breaker. They break more breakers. They don't need to do it. So if you have that data and you can look at the few bad actors, you go to work on them. Leave the others alone. You save time. You save money. What you also do is you don't create problems in the network. Same thing with transformers. So it's changing the way from a way we've done on the time-based to the condition-based. It's a money saver. Take the maintenance part out of it. Most maintenance on electrical equipment happens when something breaks. Hey, the transformer went down. We got to do something. Hey, the breaker said you got a fault in the line. So if that's all you do is reactive maintenance, you're not going to get anywhere with it. The data that you're getting from all these monitors, which is absolutely brilliant today because a lot of companies are doing it in all across, but one other thing is happening that people don't realize is happening. If you do all of that, you can go to the bad actors and fix them, replace them, do something before they break, right?
Yeah.
You create a much more reliable system. You can also take it out of service. You're not going to have anybody hurt. So you're only working on dead things. There's no power running through that. when you try to work on something and you've still got it powered, like you open up a panel to do, that's a hot spot in there. You can see that. It tells you, the data tells you got a problem. You open up the panel because you can only determine what the problem is when it's operating. You're going to have an explosion, or you're going to have, and you know what it can do? It can kill you, it can maim you, it can burn you badly. It is not a good thing. Arc flash is real. You don't have to touch it to be arc flashed.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know under the new 70B guidelines, you're not even allowed to open it? Well, put a window in it.
Yeah.
Put an iris window in it. Let them see that.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot that you can do when the data says there's a problem there. Do I need to take it out of service, or is it an incipient fault? It is something, a partial discharge, that I can run until I have a turnaround. Make sure your electrical system is part of your plant turnaround. It usually isn't. What they usually say is keep the power on in that part of the plant. We'll do our turnaround.
Yeah.
Keep the power in this part. They're not really looking at while these are not working, you ought to be working on them. Right? So anyway, that's it. But here's the thing that's happening. The dirty little secret. All this wind and solar that's coming into the grid, and it's massive amounts of wind and solar, is DC based. It has to be converted to go into the grid as AC. It leaves transients and harmonics when it does that. They're happening, and there's no pattern to them, right? Because the wind is blowing and the thing's doing it and the sun is shining. Those harmonics are flowing into the system, and an industrial plant, especially with robotics or a data center, cannot have a lot of dirty power. So cleaning that power up, dirty power will age equipment far faster than just normal power. So there's so much happening that's going to impact, as I said, the edge of the grid. The consumer that's taking that power in. We're going to see that these microgrids are being built by industrials, by AI data centers. I mean, I think it was Microsoft that tried to buy 3 Mile Island.
That's exactly correct.
To give them power. They're getting into the generation business. They're going to have the same problem, generating in DC, converting that, because they run the plant on AC. So much is changing. It is a great time to be in the industry, because if we can create an EMP program that says, hey, I don't have to do 2-year breaker testing. If I have a monitor on that breaker that's telling me I only touch it when the monitor tells me. It might be 10 years. To the person that's based on time-based, they're going to go, I got to go touch it.
Yeah.
No, you don't. That is fine, especially for a transformer. You're going to have to make your transformer live longer than it is, because you're 3 to 4 to 5 years out on power transformers. And the people that bought all the slots are the big utilities. The next people are the small utilities. The next people are the giant industrials. And you know who got left out? That small guy that said, I only got 3 transformers. If one of them fails, try to buy another. What I'm talking about is a substation grade transformer.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Anyway, we get passionate, and SARA has been built up to be able to bring experts in, share what they're doing, create the EMP, and then create from that the better practices from a maintenance and reliability standpoint.
How do I become a member?
You go to www.mysara.org and sign up there. And membership is free, by the way. We don't try to do anything. We're not trying to sell anything. You can access what we call approved providers, and that's people who then sponsor what we do. Or you can get to our alliance partners like Industrial Talk. So join us.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, how do people get a hold of you in the sense of, I want to talk to Alan? What's the best way?
Alan.Ross at AP as in Paul, C as in Charlie, .media. I'm a media mogul now.
Yeah, you are. You're much more influential than I am. I'm humbly bow to your horsepower. Yeah, you're absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you.
It was great to see you.
Scott, it is great to see you, and I'm sorry I photobombed you that time.
Oh, stop it.
Actually, he was doing one of these, I have to tell you, and I said, Scott! I didn't even care what he was doing. And he looked at me, and he laughed just like that. I love you, man.
It was
Take
great.
care.
All right, once again, that's Alan. You need to reach out to him. We're going to have all the contact information for Alan out Industrial Talk. DistribuTech is the event, Dallas, Texas. We're brought to you by those wonderful people at Siemens. Siemens Smart Infrastructure and Grid Software. Go out to Siemens.com. Find out more. Great people, great company, great solutions. Siemens.com. We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Alan Ross. He is a must connect. His contact information is, of course, out on Industrial Talk. He's a legend. You can tell he's a legend. I've known him for years. It was so great to see him at DistribuTech, even though he photobombed me, which was pretty cool too. Because we do podcasts. That's what it's all about. Bringing out the human element in your story. That's what we're all about. Connect with Alan. Go out to Industrial Talk. Do that. Okay. I have an ebook. I have a workbook. It's all out on Industrial Talk. We want you to succeed. The ebook takes everything that I've talked about over the past 7-8 years, try to distill it down to success. And the workbook, making sure that your solution aligns with customers' pain. It's important. It's a good exercise. Go out there. It's free. I'm not going to spam you. Why would I want to spam you? Be bold. Be brave. Dare greatly. Hang out with Alan. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.